Hey guys, so I just want to make a quick video because I think that this is coming into the minds of a lot of people of should I buy Japanese right now? Or should I plan on buying it or what should I buy and all that? And I think that there's no one size fits all answer and it kind of depends what your goals are in the hobby, what kind of plays you want to make, like what position you are. And so I'm just gonna go over each of them. But I think that some of it could be divided into if you are a collector, if you are a collector who doesn't mind Japanese cards or likes them or whatever, or just a collector who likes English cards or collector in general, or if you're an investor, or maybe you're a store owner. So I'm just gonna go over each of these facets, and yeah, hopefully this video helps you depending on who you are. So I think the easiest one to answer is if you're a collector and you don't want to pay the English prices. Um, and maybe even like the Japanese cards, and because Japanese cards like they're usually cheaper. I say usually, there are some exceptions some of the time. The Japanese cards are usually cheaper. Like if I go on TCG Player, Super Electric Breaker is like $50 for I think like 30 packs of Surging Sparks. Booster Box Surging Sparks in English is like $200. So you could like if you really try and pull that Pikachu, then and you want to save money, you're better up like trying to get Super Electric Breaker prices. Japanese booster boxes also have some guaranteed pull rates. Like there's some like ratio like okay, so at this rarity there's gonna be one per box and all that. Versus booster boxes they honestly have that. Um, and they're also easier to get right now for the most part. Like I know Terrestrial Festival, there's some selling on stuff, but generally, like, Super Electro Breaker, you've been able to kind of get this whole time. I didn't really hear about that May sell. It's like sure, maybe on like every product around release date, there's gonna be some issue getting products, whatever. But generally, like it's not like the price is spiked. Everyone's like going crazy. It's like no, like um, the market price according to TCG Player, like it'll vary. I think it's like around 45 $60, I'd say, like maybe a little more taxes and whatever. But yeah, it's not like that expensive compared to Surging Sparks. Like if you buy Surging Sparks booster box, like sure, like you take into account that Surging Sparks English cards are worth more. um like the Pikachu is worth like $500, so you make your money back. um but yeah, like yeah, I would definitely consider it if like you just want to like open more cards, spend less, and the quality of Japanese cards is better. Like I don't have like that many Japanese cards, but I've heard like they just do a much better like quality control on it. Um, Sometimes that's not good for grading plays because some people will want to buy the cards for singles and have them graded. But since Japanese cards are higher quality, sometimes it just decreases the value of the card because part of the reason why like a lot of Sword and Shield products, like a lot of those cards, like Umbreon for Wise Guys, Gengar for Future Strike, like they're very hard to pull, and sometimes like certain cards, I think the Magic Carbon Paldea Evolve, like it's just hard to get a PSA 10 in it, and that makes it so even if you pull it with the low pull rates, it's just hard to get. So like there's just weird sort of dynamic of like sometimes you want the products to have worse pull rates to make it more demanded. So it's kind of a weird equation there. Um, but yeah, like if you're a collector, you must have thought like, hey, should I go to Japanese cards? Should I go into Korean cards? Korean is like going to our languages. Usually the language they hear besides English, Japanese are Korean and simplified Chinese. I don't know much about simplified Chinese, but Korean cards are definitely very cheap. Um, like let's see, on like I would if I were to buy it, like I'm not really buying Korean products anymore, but if I were, like usually people recommend you just buy the really good sets, which are like 151 and like EV Heroes and Blue Sky Stream. Um, I know you just divide by so like for 151 it's like 20 packs per box. And this is like a 10 box thing, so it's like $46, and then plus some fees. So let's say $50 for 20 packs. I think Japanese 151 is like double that price. So you just get more cards and stuff. So you can like do your own math or whatever. But generally, like yeah, it's pretty cheap. But Korean cards that's also lower quality. But anyway, if you're a collector, at this exact point in time with the bull market, because this affects everyone, English product is getting more expensive and hard to find. Other markets are being affected, but English is dramatically being priced up. And there's like I guess two categories. There's like the really new sets, like Prismatic Evolution is very high, and it gets Rushed to Festival. It's already at the point of doubling as well, but you could have gotten it not too difficult at like 40, like about 50 $55. That wouldn't like that's kind of the normal like English price, because in Japan, the price is like $35. That's kind of the normal one. So like you had your chance prismatic, that was a little harder to get, and like it'll continue to be hard to get. Um, and with Japan like prints so much that there's gonna be waves and waves and waves. Like you're pretty confident at some point you'll be able to get in on like a lower price of it. Versus prismatic, the print runs for English seems to be like lower and the more infrequent. And yeah, so yeah, if you're a collector, I would suggest if you're a collector, make sure you do your research on which sets have the cards you want. I would say the sets that I would like if I were a collector who want to open things. So what would I look at? I would look at Trestle Festival for the EVs. Also, it's only available for that set. Super Electric Breaker has a lot of the Surging Sparks cards, the Pikachu. Paradise Dragona has a Latias. Um, Crimson Haze has a Greninja. Like I would just skip all these other sets unless you see some cards that you like. But you have to look at the cards. Shiny Treasures has the Palladium Face Chases. 151 like has pretty much all the 151 cards plus the Master Balls, so that's a nice thing to open. Triple B has the Paldea Magikarp. Um, V-Star Universe is Crown Zenith, which Crown Zenith is still kind of cheap at the moment, so I wouldn't necessarily open Crown Zenith. I mean V-Star Universe. Lost Abyss has the Giratina. And yeah, for these, like a lot of these Sword and Shield boxes, they're at the point where they've gone reprints, but they're still kind of like not their lowest prices. They're still kind of like no, Lost Abyss is like 80 to 100. I think Paradigm Trigger can still be gone kind of cheap because they have a reprint, and that Lugia in it is very from Silver Tempest is a little lower, but um, yeah, a lot of times when you're going for cheap, like a lot of the Scarlet and Violet stuff is still pretty inexpensive. Like usually the booster boxes will be $30 to $50 more, except for maybe some of the specialty ones, like 151's a specialty one, and then Crown's like Trestle Festival that came out. But everything else, like I'm pretty sure you can get like all these for like around $50 or less. Shiny sometimes they do go like Shiny Treasures. It went up a lot because it's another specialty set. But yeah, so yeah, another thing is that yeah, the specialty sets in Japanese tend to do better. Because I think it's because like they're still booster boxes. They tend to have less packs. But like in English, like usually if you're an investor or you just want to enjoy opening, you usually go for the booster boxes. And so a lot of these sets they have a corresponding booster box. Um, Versus like trust like in Stack Evolutions, like it's just I would love to get a booster box of Stack Evolutions, but it just doesn't exist. So it's nice to just have like Trust Festival. Like I don't really like ATVs. I don't really like all these auxiliary products. Same thing with Shiny Charges, like Palladium Fates. Like wasn't that into, but that's 151 the same way. I wish there was just a booster box. But yeah, I've heard people say the specialty sets in Japanese do better, and then the English like normal booster box tends to do better. So that's the typical investing advice. Um, but yeah, I would go after those sets because usually what you're looking for is those chase cards, and so it's just a lot easier to get the chase cards. It's just gonna be very expensive to do it in English. Um, like booster box prices in English are very high right now. Um, as an investor, like again, I'm doing this video at this exact point in time of this bull market. It's hard to get English booster boxes. Like you want to see like if there's still anything you want to like invest into, and you kind of have to do your price analysis. Like, do I invest in Scarlet and Violet? Is it too high? Like, are some like a lot of the low prices Scarlet and Violet are going away? You can still get some places like 100, 110, $120 for some booster boxes. Like I mentioned some of my other videos. But a lot of, like Paldea is going up a lot. I think I one for that they just keep going up. Um, and then there's still the Sword and Shield boxes, and some people like have the perspective of like if you're holding long term, like these boxes do have a lot of value, and the Sword and Shield boxes are nice because they're not getting reprints anymore. So I know Fusion Strike has just reached like 300, and like you kind of have to know, you kind of have to do your own like gut analysis and research analysis, because like it might feel like you're spending a lot of money into the older sets for English, but like they're kind of safer in some ways because they do have a lot more potential. Because like booster boxes in English do have a sort of ceiling that they can reach to, and really like the better sets like just have the highest ceilings, like Team Up, Cosmic Eclipse, Evolving Skies. Like it's kind of really easy to honestly if you just do the eye check and you just look through Pokédata and you look through all the sets in English, and you just go through the cards like, wow, that looks like a really nice set. Like, yeah, Evolving Skies looks great. Like, Team Up looks great. Cosmic Eclipse looks great. Tag, like when you compare it to all the other sets, you're just like, whoa, like these cards like really nice and all that. Like, I should probably invest in this. And if you just did that simple thing, you would have been right. And then the booster boxes would have exploded in price. But that does take more of a long term investing mindset, which honestly a lot of people don't have going to hobby. Like, it takes a while to cultivate that. Um, but yeah, I would say like you kind of have to know like where you want to put your money and like what you're like. Everyone's kind of at a different stage. Like I know like when you start in the hobby, you're not really sure what to buy, and sometimes just buying one thing is really hard. And sometimes like you have to make the decision in a non-perfect thing and just be like, okay, I think, or someone told me, and I trust and I believe them that like Stellar Crown's a good buy because it's really cheap. Or they're like, hey, I know Twilight Mastery is expensive right now, but I'm just gonna buy one booster box. And when you buy just one product or something, sometimes it's also nice because like even if it goes up like double or goes to half, like it's only so much money in a sense. Like it's kind of relative for everyone, but if Twilight Masquerade, you bought Twilight Masquerade for 150, and there's a reprint tomorrow, it goes to 110. I mean like 100. Then it's like it'll probably go up because it's a strong set. That good ninja card is gonna be good, like good. And you see it with things like Lost Origin or whatever, like it's doing way better than like Battle Styles, which has its own history. But then you're like, oh, but Twilight Master could go to 200 eventually, and so like you also have the potential upside. Um, so yeah, like the quantity and scale you do like over time does matter. For Japanese boxes, sometimes they're easy to get to, especially if you know where to buy them. Like I recommend like these sites like Pokefish, like, especially this one, because like the taxes and the fees are pretty good. But like since the boxes are cheaper, like you could invest in one Surging Sparks, one Surging Sparks booster box, or you could invest in like four of these. And like yes, for some people like if you do have like more money, you're just like okay, like you treat it as a percentage. Like okay, I'll put 10% of this budget into Japanese, and I'll go for these ones. Like 151, I think is a nice one because like it just like there's supposed to be a reprint or was a reprint or something like that, but like the prices went down a little bit. And they're kind of back up, and so I kind of feel like the buying window is over a little bit, but I'm not really sure. Um, but yeah, like sometimes it's fine to buy and hold with Japanese. Um, you also have to know like where you're, like what you're like how you can sell. Like sometimes you can if you go on Facebook, if you're a seller who can sell Facebook Marketplace, sometimes like it's easier to sell English cards because people want those. Or if you're an Asian community, maybe like people want those. You have to know like you have to think about your exit strategy. But but I know that Japanese booster boxes are kind of easier to store than like if you're buying English booster boxes, those are easy to store, and then Japanese booster boxes are pretty easy to store too because they're also pretty compact. If you buy other products like ETBs or whatever, you're kind of have a lot of waste of space. So I feel like this video is a lot more disorganized. A lot of it's just like it depends. Oh, the last thing I did mention was for store owners. For store owners, what I see happy with store owners is that some of them might go to Japanese. I know Poke Annie did this during the last bull market around COVID. Like he couldn't get a lot of English product, and actually he's already saying this for Prismatic. Prismatic, he's like, I got so little Prismatic, like I make a profit from it, but that's not enough to pay like some of the bills, or like it's barely enough. So like he's like, it's good to have other revenue streams. So for store owners, like honestly, um, like this is actually why people went to Korean too. Like, well, what happened with like in the before this big bull market was people would get booster boxes, and they would barely make any money off of them because like there wasn't a high enough demand, and so like they would sell like Stellar Crown or products with like 100 or less or whatever, and it just they need other income sources. So what they would do is that they would buy the Korean boxes that were cheap, and they would only go after the good ones, which is like EV Hero, like probably this guy's in 151, and they would sell them because they get some margin from that because like stores operate on like the margins and they need to sell that product to make a profit. Um, so Yeah, I would say as if you're a store owner, it might be worth looking to get a Japanese distributor because the English distributors probably are not going to give you as much nowadays. Like, there's like things about them being empty or whatever. So like, there's no booster boxes available. You're not going to get a lot of prismatic. Um, and when you have relationships with distributors, it's to keep buying from them. And it's like, hey, if you don't have a way to make the bills, like some people go rip and stuff, like you're not gonna survive. So yeah, these are some of my takes for just buying the Japanese market. Like, um, honestly, like like I've heard before, like the best thing to invest in is a thing that like you know more about, and sometimes it's a little more like that. Like I'd say even if you don't want to buy Japanese, sometimes it's good just to get a little more knowledge in it, just to be a little more informed, and maybe in the future. I know for me, like I don't know a lot about the singles market and the slabs because like that's sort of an area that like I don't really want to touch. I don't like that volatility and all that risk, but like it might be good someday to like dip my toe and I would say for like single for sealed products, I want to go after the really good popular like alt arts like Umbrumon, like the top chase card. Like I wouldn't want like the medium ones. But anyway, that's my video for today. Hope it wasn't too long. Have a good day, guys. Bye.